Hey there, Kim Rowe with For the Nest. How are you today? I'm hoping you're having a great day. And have you decoupaged something yet? I know, decoupage is so easy and so much fun. And I want to encourage you to try it. Grab something in your house. It might be a lamp. Did you see my lamp project? I did a jar last week. So you can pretty much decoupage anything. In fact, I'm going to show you that in this video where I decoupage a vintage leather suitcase. Yes, I decoupaged the leather because it sat in my booth forever and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, but nobody else did. So now wait till you see how it turned out with just a little Roycycled paper and some liquid patina and a little bit of paint. It turned out pretty cool. So check it out. So the first step with decoupaging is always grabbing some paint and painting your base color underneath of where you're going to decoupage, especially if it's a dark piece like this leather. So I'm using Farmhouse Paint here. It really adheres to almost anything. And the color I'm using, I believe, is cotton white. And I'm just going to put one coat of paint over this leather and then let it dry completely before I go on to decoupaging. But it is important to do this first because if you don't, the paper that has the designs on it, you will not be able to see all the details in the paper because it will just blend in with the darker color underneath of it. So it is important to paint first. So this is Roycycled Treasures Fall Botanical Project Blocks. And as you can see, the paint's dry here. I'm going to be opening up the paper and just laying it out over top of my project to see what part of the paper I want to use. This project block paper is great for small pieces or large ones, and I'm going to be using most of the paper on this project. So as I lay it out, I'm going to figure out what section of the paper I want to be at the top of the luggage and the bottom. I'm also going to line it up to the seam on the edge because I'm not going to cover the edge of the luggage. I want that leather to show just because I think it's going to add some cool vintage look to this piece, and especially because it goes with the colors in the paper. So what I'm doing is just feeling the stitching up there. I'm figuring out the edges here, and I'm going to just score it a little bit with my nail to just figure out where I want to cut this. So it'll make it a little bit easier because measuring is not my strong suit. And also when you're dealing with vintage things, you could measure all you want and it just seems like nothing ever is aligned right. So doing it this way, it's going to take into effect any little differences in the leather. And I'm just going to cut along that strip where I just marked it with my nail. So now that it's all cut, I'm just going to make sure that it fits in where I want it to and just spread it out, smooth it out a little bit, and get ready to start decoupaging. So now I'm decoupaging and I'm using liquid patina by DIY Paint. I start at one end and then work my way down, making sure that I spread it out using a little bit of cellophane or plastic wrap just to smooth out the wrinkles. And I keep moving down. You can readjust this paper just a little bit and be careful when you have it wet, but you can do that. And then I put a little coat of the liquid patina over top of the entire project as well, just to smooth out the areas, and sometimes that helps with getting wrinkles out too. So now at this point, I looked at the top of the luggage and I just realized that that line was a little too straight and stark for me. So I decided to take the label masterboard paper that's by Roycycled Treasures, and the colors match perfectly with the Botanical Fall project block paper. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to be cutting out some labels, just rough cutting them with just tearing them actually. And sometimes I use the wet cutting method where you just take a small brush and get it wet. But here I just randomly tore the edges and it worked out fine. So what I'd like to do is kind of hold it up and figure out where I want to put it, lay it out almost before I actually adhere them so that I kind of have a plan of where they're going to go. And so I just keep looking for different sizes that are going to fit in this area. I don't want them too big. There's so many labels on this paper, and it's such a great sheet that you can use it for multiple projects. But I'm just going to tear out some and then figure out how I want to line them up on here. So once I had the plan figured out and where they were going to go, I got my white paint again and just painted the backs of these so that when I decoupage them over top of the other paper and over top of the brown luggage, again, the paper will just really show the true colors. If I had just decoupaged them right over top of the paper and also on the brown leather, the true color of the paper would not show through. So here I'm just putting one quick coat of paint on the back of the paper, and I'm going to let it fully dry. Once the papers are dry, they are ready to be decoupaged. So I laid them out, trying to keep them in line as to the way of where I wanted to place them. And what I'm going to do here is just add a little liquid patina onto the luggage again and over top of the paper that has already dried, and then just place these labels along the edge to just give it a little bit more of a random top there instead of that straight line. And then as I lay these down, I also put a little liquid patina on the top just to seal them down and smooth it out as I lay them out. You can see here that I wanted to layer this one underneath, and so since it was still wet, I was able to pull it up and then easily put it back down again and layer that one over top of the other one. While it's still wet, it's easy to move, but once it dries, you will definitely rip it if you try and move it. Once the paper is fully dry and the liquid patina is fully dry, I take a very sharp X-Acto knife and I'm trimming off the edge of the paper where some of it was just a little bit over the edge of the stitching there. But you want to make sure you wait till the paper is fully dry, because if it is still wet, it will definitely rip into the area that you don't want to pull off. So again, wait till this is fully dry, especially when you're doing something like this, or if you use decoupage on dresser drawers, you can actually decoupage straight over all the drawers and then wait till it dries and then use this X-Acto knife to just cut it where you want to make your edges. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to be adding a glazing gel. This is the color Tea Stain by Farmhouse Paint, and this looks like it's standing upright, but the luggage is actually laying down on a table. I'm using a plain old chip brush, and just the angle that I filmed this in, it looks like it's standing up, but it is laying down flat. So I would suggest, just because if it drips or anything like that, it makes it easier laying this down flat. And I'm just spreading this glazing gel all over. I'm using a fine mister to help spread the glaze, and then I'm going to be using a shop towel to wipe it back. So this is just going to give an aged look to the paper, and because this luggage is old, I wanted this to just, it's going to pick up some of the details of maybe the wrinkles or the stitching or anything like that, and again, just make it look more aged. Once I finished using the glaze, I decided to use this product called It's the Balm by Farmhouse Paint. The scent that I have here is lavender, and I'm just using a wax brush. And what this is a great product to use on either wood or leather, and it really just reconditions the wood or leather. And here, because this luggage was so old, there were lots of little edges that were very scuffed up. And so you can use this on your purses or shoes or any kind of leather sofas and ottomans, but here it just really is going to revitalize this and make it look so much better. As I do it, I'm like amazed at how it turned out. And then once that is on there, I just again use a shop towel to buff back and remove the excess wax that is on there. I actually used it on the sides as well and on the handle. And as you use the cloth, it starts to get kind of filled with the wax. So try and find a clean area of it and just continue buffing back until you finish your whole piece. So the project's done. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Kim Moreau with For the Nest, and thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would do that. If you want to see the products that I used, you can see the link, and it takes you to my website to see all the products that were used in this project. Have a great day and try decoupaging. I promise you'll have a lot of fun.